Wolf, aka Dakota Wilmer, or Lexi Rojas. Anyway, so the thumbnail, you might be wondering, is actually from Lunar New Year, which is why there's moons on my dress, because I thought I was being cute. That morning, I got all dressed up and ready to go to work, and my partner slash husband, whatever you want to call him, came back from the bathroom, not feeling well, saying like he felt like his face was starting to go numb, and he has some health issues. He is diabetic and also struggles with high blood pressure. And as soon as he mentioned that his face started to feel numb, I was like, that's it, we're going to the hospital. I'm going to call out the work. I'm going to bring you to the ER. We're going. And the reason I needed to call out of work for this, aside from just being there to morally support him, is also because I know that he would not want to go by himself. We both have anxiety, and we both have bad experiences with the hospitals in New York City, particularly in Brooklyn, particularly Wyckoff Heights Medical Center. So he actually, a few months ago, or within the last year sometime, he had caught both pneumonia and COVID at the same time, which messed with his blood sugar and blood pressure really bad. So he ended up going to the ER at Wyckoff Heights, and they ended up keeping him for over a week. Within that 10-day span, there were 3 or 4 times where he just didn't get food. And if you know anything about diabetes, you can't skip meals. You can't be skipping meals. They had him on a specific heart health diabetic diet, and they were not bringing him his food. The people in the kitchen were just skipping him. And at one point he didn't get breakfast, so he talked to the nurse about it, and the nurses were calling down to the kitchen, and they're like, oh no, we gave him his food. And he's like, what, I ate the food and the tray? Why would I be complaining about not getting food if I got food? By the time that they finally admitted their mistake, it was almost lunchtime. So they were like, oh, we'll just bring lunch. And then that took a bunch of time for him to get, and he almost didn't get lunch that day either. So we just were like, okay, no Wyckoff Heights, because they're not going to treat him well. And when I was there having my baby, both times that I was pregnant, I had not great experiences. Specifically the more recent time in 2023 when I was giving birth, most of the nurses were great, and most of the doctors were great. There were 2 doctors alternating back and forth on the delivery floor, and but there was this one nurse who had no bedside manner, and she even bumped my pregnant stomach with the bedside table and didn't say anything. And if I remember correctly, I think she left it there and I had to push it away. But how do you become a nurse if you don't care about people? It doesn't make sense. Oh, I do it for the money. You're gonna wipe butt and take care of sick people for the money? You need to be doing it because you have a high sense of empathy and you care about people, not because you're there for a paycheck. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I think. If you're going into the medical profession, you need to have empathy. Anyway, Wyckoff was just off the table this time around. So on Lunar New Year, Year of the Snake, which I think is super ironic because the snake is the healing symbol, specifically Ashra on the pole, the snake on the pole, Ashra, from the Bible. Anyway, and that's a symbol for a lot of hospitals. Anyway, so what we ended up doing is we took a lift downtown to like Prospect Park and went to the New York Presbyterian Hospital because we had a friend within the last year or so who got in a bicycle accident. Like a car hit him and then drove off. And he got taken to that hospital and they treated him really well. So my husband was like, let's go there because I know they're going to treat me right. And for the most part they did. It was really nice. Like, they were really helpful and they were really attentive and listened to him really well. Except for at one point, because we were like the closest to the nurse's station, like his curtained off area, and there was this one nurse who was like trash talking so bad the whole time we were there. And like at one point I don't know if it was a shift change or just someone else coming on to the floor who she was debriefing, but we could hear her, or I could hear her because my husband got wheeled away to get an x-ray. I could hear her talking about the patients on the floor, like the one guy who was smoking meth in the hallway and was there for births, who I swear he had the sheet over him and like his leg in the air and his hands under the sheet and like moving his arm in a very suggestive way that leads me to well, it led me to close the curtain, let's just say that, because I really did not want to risk that he was doing what I suspected he was doing, and I did not want to see that, and nobody else seemed to notice or care, and it was very disconcerting for me. Anyway, that's off topic. So this lady's talking trash. She's like, there was a homeless lady who was in there like 3 times that day who, like, I guess she had walked her, I don't know if it was the same nurse or a different nurse, but it sounded like her voice, but she had, I guess, walked her like to the bus stop, and the lady was hungry, so she bought her, so she offered to buy her food, and like she was complaining that, of course she wanted the most expensive thing. I had to pay $3 for cherries. Like, she's homeless, first of all. How, like, you're gonna shit on her for wanting fruit? And like $3? Is that really such a big deal when you're making like $20 an hour or whatever you're making? $3 to help one person? Like, you could have looked at this as like, oh, I helped someone, I feel good about myself. Instead you're sitting here bitching. Like, anyway, and then she left her in like the Barnes and Noble like vestibule and told the security guard just tell her when the bus is there. And like the lady ended up coming back like, I don't know, maybe an hour later, and then like she wanted to leave before her ride got there to pick her up, because they were trying to get her back to the they went to get her back to the homeless shelter, and like I guess because she went like to Target and then came back, and she's like, oh no, you can't leave before your ride gets here because you're gonna get us in trouble because last time you didn't go back to the homeless shelter. And she's like, yes I did. And she's like, no, you went to Target. That's not the point. I don't know if that was the same nurse or not. And Isaiah, I'm streaming because this is what I do now. I stream to talk about stories in my life. It's called a vlog. If you don't like it, don't watch it. Anyway, sorry for responding to the chat. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. So then when this lady is like debriefing the other nurse or whatever, she mentions my partner. It's like, so Rojas is here for abdominal pain, which by the way was never one of the symptoms he mentioned. He never, ever mentioned, ever, abdominal pain. So I don't know where the hell she got that, or if it was in his chart, or what is going on. She's like, and he's fine. He's absolutely fine. Okay, what he was actually there was high blood sugar, high blood pressure, vomiting, chest pain, and numbness in the face. And she said, he's here for abdominal pain. He's fine. He's absolutely fine. I'm like, what's wrong with you? First of all, stop trash talking on the patients, especially with an earshot of other patients. You're violating HIPAA. You are violating HIPAA. All right? I even know the meth head's name, okay? I won't tell you, but I know his name because they were talking so loud right next to us. And I hope that guy gets the help he needs, goes to rehab, and leads a very successful life, because he was a young man and he, you know, no one should have to suffer from drug addiction. But I understand how hard addiction is, and like I've seen it, and I can see what it does to people. And like I have a friend who struggles with addiction, and she goes in and out of rehab, and like I barely get to see her, and I think about her all the time. And like when I do get to see her, she's always so cheery and so kind and so full of like light, and like I just wish she could be okay. But you know, I know it's hard for people who struggle with addiction. So you guys are all in my heart. Everyone struggling with addiction, you're in my heart. Anyway, the nurse was talking trash, but other than that, the hospital was cool. They gave him some food, like a tuna sandwich for breakfast, which, you know, is good. And eventually they got his sugar and pressure to stabilize, and his nausea went away, and his chest was feeling better, so they ended up releasing him the same day. So he's great, he's doing fine, and he's taking his medicine in the morning and at night, and we're all gonna be eating healthier and doing more exercising, and hopefully he can stay out of the hospital for good this time. And anyway, the New York hospitals are a roller coaster. Just careful which one you go to. I do not recommend Wyckoff Heights. I do not. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and like, subscribe. The next video I do is going to be about Maya Angelou and a specific coworker I once had who tried to gatekeep her from me, which was super weird. Anyway, like how do you gatekeep a historical figure / author? Anyway, that's for next time. Thanks for watching. This has been your host, Dakotar Wolf.